Good, whatever time of day this is, you're listening to this. I don't know. Is it evening? Is it midnight? Are you listening to us in the bathtub? Don't eat after midnight or you'll turn into a fucking gremlin, Justin. That got really weird. I'm sorry. Where'd he go?
We lose someone here?
Do 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 do.
There he is.
Do 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 do. No, I didn't. Yeah, there you go. Crickets.
God damn it, Justin.
Wait, do both of you have a soundboard?
Seamless.
No,
I don't know what the hell he was doing. Did you cut out or something?
No, I heard you. I just didn't know what the hell to say to you.
Always good broadcasting.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Epic Film Guys podcast. I am Nick.
And I am an epic film guy. My name is Justin. I'm really happy to be here this evening. I'm really happy to be talking to you, Nick. But I'm even more excited because we actually have some guests on the show tonight. Some guests that our listeners, if you've been listening to the show for quite some time, you will know very, very well. We are joined this evening by Paul and Wayne of The Countdown. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We have a huge loaded plate, and we're going to sink our teeth into this juicy morsel. And these guys are going to join us tonight. How you guys doing tonight?
What up, dog? How you doing? Very good, thank you.
Yes, very fine. Thank you, Justin and Nick, and thank you for the invite to be here.
Very excited to be on this show.
Yeah, very important occasion, such a big occasion, talking a little film about Star Wars.
Oh, we're not doing Ferdinand? Was that whole thing before the show not real?
I am happy to do Ferdinand. I haven't had a chance to talk about it on our show, so if you prefer to change it up last second, I'm fine. Wayne may struggle.
Yes. By the way, Paul has said, I'm happy to do Ferdinand a few times.
I sucked a dick last night.
Paul. Okay, Paul, I need you to calm down. We got a long show ahead of us.
Sorry.
Just let's power through this, okay?
Your jaw's going to get tired, motherfucker.
It's a day ending in Y.
Yes, we are absolutely thrilled to have Paul and Wayne on the show. You guys have been guests a number of times on our show. We've been on your show a number of times. I still have a John Wick spotlight floating around somewhere in the nethers of my computer that I have yet to finish editing and get loaded for a spotlight. That'll be coming out, I hope, sometime before the end of the year, if my schedule allows. But yes, gentlemen, it's always an incredible honor and a privilege to have you here, because you guys were one of the first podcasts that we ever connected with on Twitter when we were, both tiny little baby podcasts, and we were, waddling around and falling over, just learning how to walk in this land of podcasting, if you will.
Absolutely. I think, Nick, you were the first guy I heard who gave a recommendation to our podcast, and it was like an unsolicited.
Yes.
Like, because Paul played it, dude, someone mentioned us. I'm like, what? And then I heard you say it, and you were so nice about it, and I was like, wow, we're not that good.
I have, it's in our show notes every week. You are our oldest and bestest podcasting friends. So there you go.
Aww. That actually makes me feel like what we do means something. Like what I'm doing is a complete waste of time. Nick, I've fucking told you how many times I never said that. You manipulated words that I said in different sentences at different times, and you put them together. That's not true.
If I wanted to take the effort, like I've threatened Justin with this before, that I'm going to take the effort and I'm going to cut together something like some movie that he absolutely loves. I'm going to cut together like a sentence of him being like, "This is the biggest piece of shit in the world."
I'm sure you could grab that out of the Power Rangers episode from earlier in the year. I'm positive that it's in there somewhere.
As a one, no need to cut anything together. Just take it.
Exactly. Yeah, cut it right in there.
By the way, was Power Rangers a piece of shit?
Yep.
It was it?
Yep. Not as big as Justin saying.
Pile of shit. Horrible.
Horrible. I think we have a little preview there to the worst films of the year.
It'll be high on his list at the end of the year. Very high on his list. I am more than sure.
Yeah, I'm adding that to my list.
You should watch it.
I got to watch that shit now.
It definitely won't be on any best of the year lists. I don't think for literally anyone. But yeah,
everyone forgot about it.
It's such an honor. It's such a privilege. We love you guys. You guys are literally fucking incredible. I love listening to your show every week. I love talking like literally all the time to Paul. And I said it during the patron only segment of the show, but like as many times as I've talked to Wayne, it's never quite the same. And you never quite remember what Wayne's like until you get the chance to talk to him again. And it's like you're meeting him again for the first time and you just fall in love with him all over again. So
it's because no one's used to that level of vulgarity and that, just like so much. You're like, holy shit, it's like a brand now.
To people that listen to our show, that's shocking, but true. We've got so much to get into tonight, gentlemen. So why don't we go around the horn here and do a little something we've been doing for a very long time on the show. What are you drinking?
I'm back. Puke and rally. Woo! Give me a beer.
It's bright and early in the morning on the west coast of Australia. So we'll start with Wayne. Why don't you tell us what you're imbibing this morning?
Every single time we do this with you guys, I forget that you all drink alcohol, and I'm like, I've got like this assortment of bullshit drinks. Paul, you can actually. This is what's in front of me right now. Okay,
yep, I will confirm.
There's a flat white coffee.
Yep.
For you Americans, flat white is a type of is a way of serving coffee here.
Yeah, that in no way described what it actually is. By the way.
Yeah, no, not at all. What the fuck is it?
Sorry, it's just basically
it's coffee with lots of milk.
That's a latte.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's got some milk in it, but it's just I don't know. It's something we call it right here. It's like when you would say, I think I was in the Buck recently and I said like a mocha frappuccino. No, it's not the same as that. It's not the same as that. I'm sorry. I don't know how to actually explain it. It's just what we call a normal coffee. It's made from a machine. That's one of my drinks. The other drink is a McDonald's orange juice, which I nailed this morning as I got a sausage and egg McMuffin, and the thing is still here. And the other one is a small bottle of Evian. So none of this is actually helping you with your like what I'm drinking list.
True.
But this is all what's in front of me right now. And that's the kind of freak I am.
The best part was, as you said, and this is what we do every week, and you hit the soundbite for Matthew McConaughey, Wayne looks around in panic and goes, and you can see the look of like, shit.
No, if I remembered, I would go out and get something interesting, like at least like some fucking tequila or just something to say, I'm drinking alcohol and I haven't got a small dick. There it is. And that is essentially, that's the soundtrack of my life.
Anyway, how is your sex life?
Ooh. It's okay.
Our patrons know what it's like. Over to Paul. Paul, you usually don't let me down, fucking Wayne. Goddamn son of a...
And I'm not letting you down. Not today. There is no sparkling water nor anything like it. I am on pseudo holidays. Tomorrow I'm heading off to Melbourne, so I have to be a little careful, which is why I've just gone with a 4.7% by volume of alcohol, whatever it is. Gage Roads Brewing Company's Atomic American Pale Ale. You see what I did there? I've gotten very special for you guys. 1.2 standard drinks. It's as the label proudly proclaims, dry hopped and unfiltered. It's very easy drinking, very light on the palate, and it goes down without giving me a hangover. This seems one of those beers that does not give me a hangover, and given I'm flying at the crack of dawn tomorrow, I do not want a hangover.
Man, I wish I was a drinker.
How dare you?
This is
I'm
weird.
gonna cover that bad boy in there as many times as I can.
This is dangerous because it sounds like Paul said it, but he didn't say it, and now you have the control.
Yeah.
I mean, he
shit,
did say
man.
it. He did say it. When did he say it? That was the
At
question.
some stage.
It's out of context. This is fucking podception.
Yeah, God, I have no idea
man.
when I actually pulled that clip from. I might have even pulled that from one of your episodes. I can't remember. I wanted it so badly. I was like, I need that clip really badly. So, Justin, I'm going to go ahead and pitch it over to you, my friend.
Hang him! Kill him! Hang him! Hit him!
Yeah, kill him, stab him, shoot him dead.
What do you got? Funneling up your fuckhole this evening.
Oh yeah, that's so classy, Nick. I love it. Well, we're talking about Star Wars today, and I wanted to drink a beer that sounded kind of galactic, kind of, like I'm out in space floating around. So this is the Aslan Beer Company's Stellar Parallax. I'm not sure if I got you one of these before or not, Nick, but it is one of my favorite beers from one of my favorite breweries right down the street from me. Obviously, it's a New England double IPA. It's 8.3% alcohol by volume.
Damn.
This baby is dry hopped with Galaxy Simcoe Mosaic, and what you get out of it is a lot of mango, berries. There's some pine in there, and of course, pineapple, which I love. They're so pineapple-centric with their beers, man, but I love it. It's one of my favorites, and it sounds like a Star Wars kind of beer. So that's what I'm drinking tonight. But I got to ask you, sir, what do you got? What's in your hand? What are you pouring down your throat? What are you killing yourself with this evening?
Well, it's a brewery I have a love-hate relationship with, Justin. Sometimes they do a fantastic job. Sometimes they do not. This is Dogfish Head's Liquid Truth Serum IPA. And it's a very, very kind of
Waiting
light.
for it.
It's hoppy. It's got a little bit of a bitterness to it. It's got a little bit more of a citrus nose to it than anything else. But it's kind of a very, very light, easy drinking IPA. Like, this is an IPA with training wheels on it. I think if I wanted to give somebody an IPA that they'd never had one or they weren't a fan of the style, yeah, this is probably what I would go with. It's not bad. It's pretty decent. But I've got a Dragon's Milk floating around in the fridge waiting for me after I finish this, and I can't wait to break
Dragon's Milk
to that bad boy. Oh, it's a bourbon barrel aged
so good.
stout.
Oh,
It's
man.
so
That's the
good.
best
good.
fucking name for anything ever. Dragon's Milk.
Well, you know what to call your gentleman's relishes from now on.
Dude, it tastes like it sounds too. It's that good. It really is. I just had it for the first time a few weeks ago. Nick had recommended it to me a number of times, and man, it tastes like you're drinking fucking dragon's milk, or maybe dragon jizz. I don't know, man. One or the other.
I'd like to also mention, just to try and redeem myself from my ridiculous set of drinks here, that I am currently fuck a guy stoned. I
wouldn't expect anything less of you, Wayne. I expected this.
Right. So the weed I had is called the Durban Death.
What are you smoking?
That's right. What am I smoking? There it is. It's got
We need to
top
kind of
notes
do
of
sound
balls,
drop
jizz,
just
and
for whenever
ass.
Wayne's on the show. What are you smoking?
You could do a Cheech and Chong thing, man. Yeah, there you go. It has to happen.
I would totally be Tommy Chong. Like, I wouldn't be cheap.
Okay.
Because he's Asian.
Oh my god. Well, gentlemen, it's time. We're doing a little something on the Epic Film Guys podcast this month that's called
Broncember.
That's right, baby. We are celebrating the career, the everything of Charles Bronson. And I pitched it out to you guys. I doubt you got the chance to watch anything, but are you guys fans of the Bronson?
Let me tell you, the Bronson reminds me massively of my dad. Not that he looks like Charles Bronson or anything, but he loved Bronson movies all the time. Death Wish was always on in the background, doesn't matter how young I was. It was, and I remember looking at his face and going, what's with his face? Why is he bulldoggy looking, right? But he was just so iconic, and like, he just, no one's got a face and a mustache like him. And then I saw The Great Escape like years later, and they said, oh, that's Charles Bronson there. I'm like, whoa, he's got like a normal person's head. Like, it amazed me. But I actually have a very fond recollection of Charles Bronson.
I'm not sure how we got into Charles Bronson's face, but
it's his face. Charles Bronson is all about his face and that weird way he talks. So I do like Bronson, absolutely.
Hey, buddy, you gonna eat that sausage?
Is that how?
Everybody
Is that a thing?
eat that sausage?
Oh shit! That's the exact voice I'm talking about.
I did
He
also
talks
add
like
this one last week just for Justin.
You believe in Jesus? Well, you're going to meet him.
Yes. One of my favorite
70s
things
action.
ever.
I love
Yes.
listening to that.
Oh my god! Imagine writing that line for
the
a
way
movie
he
now.
dies too is the best though. Like the gunshot hits the dude like oversells it, but he like shakes around and he falls to the ground. I love it so much.
Well, Paul, I had
It's-
pitched
it's
this to you as well, and you had mentioned that you'd probably seen pretty much anything. So are you a fan of Bronson, or are you just,
Oh,
you've
yeah.
seen so much cinema?
Oh, I think it's both, but like he's not. I don't love him the way that Justin loves him. I don't want to even pretend to go near that level of worship. But he was definitely a staple of my young action years when he got into the Golden Globus realm of Death Wish sequels.
Yes.
Was it's kind of where he came to my attention. And then, like Wayne says, you go back and you see the Great Escapes and the Magnificent Sevens and his classic work. And yeah, he'll always have a place in my heart.
All right. Well, Justin, I'm going to pitch it over to you first, and let us know what you're checking in this week for.
Broncember.
That's right, baby.
Well, I actually did Don Siegel's Telethon, which actually just celebrated an anniversary, the 40th anniversary, just this week.
I remember Telethon.
Yeah, it's a fun movie. Donald Pleasance plays the villain. it's not one of the best films in Bronson's career, but it's one of the more interesting ones. He doesn't spend the entire film just running around killing people randomly. He actually plays like a Soviet agent in the film, and he gets sent to America to handle this terrorist who is basically, setting off bombs everywhere. By the way that he does it is he'll call these operatives that have it like they were brainwashed at one point. So when they hear a quote, depending on what it is, like they'll automatically go and like set off a bomb or go blow something up or go commit suicide, and then like a suicide bomber type thing. I think Bronson's really great in it, and it's one of my favorites of his 70s era. But it was one of the last films Bronson did that was a studio film. It was obviously at that point when they started realizing he wasn't as big of a box office draw as he was a few years earlier. My other check-in from last week was Death Hunt. And that's the return of Lee Marvin with Charles Bronson on the big screen together. I love Death Hunt because they shot it all on location. They're all out in the wilderness in snow, and they shot it in Canada. Charles Bronson plays a hunter and trapper. He witnesses these guys doing a dog fight, and he sees that they're being really brutal with this dog. He rescues the dog, and then the group of guys that were doing the dog fight are like, fuck this guy. He took our dog, even though he paid him for him. They're like, fuck it, we're going to go after this guy. And then they go after him. People get killed, and then hijinks ensue, as Loisos would say. And then they track him down with the Mounties. And Carl Weathers is in it as well, and he's great in it. It's really fun. I love old movies like that. We don't get those anymore. Like, those wilderness epics where it's just like a bunch of guys, a bunch of rugged, real men, like out in the fucking wilderness and bad, horrible conditions and, on horses. And you don't get that anymore. And even if you did, for the most part, it'd be all CG. The Revenant's like literally the only thing I could think of where real actors were out in real bad situations like that.
Yeah,
so
good point.
I love Death Hunt. It's not one of the best, but it's great to see Lee Marvin, even though he was in poor health at the time.
Was he?
Up at the big screen with Bronson again, and Bronson's in perfect pure form in the film. So it's a really fun one, definitely for me. So those are the two that I'm checking in. But Nick, today I saw this on social media. You watched not only one of my favorite Bronson films, but one of my favorite Westerns of all time. I got to hear from you what you thought of this movie.
How do you even describe a film like Once Upon a Time in the West with any other word other than masterpiece? Like, this is when you think Western when you close your eyes and you think Western, you think of those extremely deliberate, slow, steady camera shots. Ennio Morricone's score in this is just fucking mind blowing. Like, god damn, what a good movie this was. Like, I was so glad I decided to pop this in. I still have Death Wish 4 and 5 to finish off on my Death Wish, throng. And I want to get to those before the month is out. But yeah, I wanted a little bit of a change of pace, and my god, what a movie this is. Like, if I was putting in for the top 10 last time, which you guys just did on your show last week, this would have been number one. God damn it, this movie is incredible. Just for the way that Sergio Leone just lets that camera linger on people, like lets their faces, without dialogue, without anything, just that Morricone score and just their facial expressions to sell the entire story, to sell character intent. Oh my god, it's
when did they make this movie?
Quintessential. 1968 was the release date. I'm looking up
correct.
Would you say
stats on it now.
Would you say that? Okay, is that style of directing, does that still work now? Like, is that, first of all, is it from its era? Did other people do that stuff, or is he standalone like that? And does it work now? I guess
no. I think other people
it's
of the time definitely did it. Yeah, it's definitely very reminiscent of a Western. Like, it reminded me a lot of John Ford flicks.
So you got the
things
context,
of that nature.
Yeah.
But I mean, would it work today with audiences that want things a lot more punchy, that want things a lot more quick cuts?
No,
I
right?
don't necessarily think so. I mean, this was almost 3 hours long as well.
Dear God.
Yeah, it was a
it's 2 hours and
slog,
55 minutes
in terms of runtime, but like, it's so incredible. Like, it's just one of those things where you can tell you're looking at real locations the entire time. Everything is just so beautifully constructed, and just sweeping beauty, just gorgeous. Every single fucking frame of this thing just made me want to spooge. Loved it. So loved this movie.
Because Bronson's in this film. He only did this film after the fact. He was originally offered the role that Clint Eastwood ultimately got with the Fistful of Dollars, that trilogy. Yep. Bronson turned that down, and then he ended up doing Once Upon a Time in the West, which is crazy to think.
And he was
could have
great
had
in
that
this
whole,
too. He was incredible.
Yeah, he is
in
really
this.
good in it. Yeah, he's good in it. And I love the whole harmonica thing. And
Dude,
he's one of my favorite actors, and I know what his range is. Not to say that he's got a lot of it, but in this film, he really carries a lot of what he's doing so well, because it's like you just said, the silence is there. A lot of it's just in these characters' eyes, and the score, and the way they just linger, and they're waiting for things to happen when they interact, and he's just perfect in it. I love it.
one of my favorite things in the movie was the slapping or the punching sound effect, because it was so it's such an old school punching sound effect. Like it if you're a modern audience member watching the movie like through a modern audience member's eyes, it really takes you out of it because it's so cartoonish sounding. It's definitely like a stock sound effect, but it's still great. Like it gives it that kind of flair that a film that was made 50, 60 or more years ago, just you don't get that anymore. So it really kind of places it of its time.
I have a problem with that. Like that's why it's hard for me to watch older movies, because I see all that and I remember what it was like, and I see it through I can't seem to punch through the context of it being now.
Yeah.
I can't put myself back then and go, oh, I recognize it for that kind of classicism.
Thank God you don't do a movie podcast then.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying. I'm contemporary boy.
Oh my God. Well, before we roll out on the first segment, gentlemen, thank you very, very much for talking
Broncember.
Fuck yes, man. This is on everybody's mind, and we would be, I don't know, we wouldn't be a movie podcast that's also guest starring another movie podcast if we didn't talk about the news that's on everyone's mind. The Disney-Fox merger. Disney, $54.5 billion, I think, for basically all of Fox's film and television assets.
$54.5 billion.
Yeah, that's craziness.
Disney rules the world,
How do you
man.
do that valuation?
Disney rules the world. That's as simple as we can get it. Next, Disney's going to buy the government. Next, Disney will rule the world. But
Disney wouldn't do a worse job than what we're getting now. So
no, definitely not. In all seriousness, though, I really want to hear what you guys. I know I have my reservations, and I know Nick has a lot to say about it. We'll throw it to you guys because you're our guest here. We'll start with you, Paul. What are your initial thoughts on this merger, and what would you like to see come out of it or not see come out of it?
I'm open-minded at one level, which is to say that we all know that Fox badly treats some of its franchises, and we all know that like the X-Men franchise and certainly the Fantastic Four franchise are dog shit. But then, okay, I'm going to stay on the creative level. I'll get Wayne to talk about the economic sort of side of things and the market side of things. But my concern is what happens to these really great R-rated properties which Fox have developed. Now, I say that with a grain of salt. The Alien universe is Ridley Scott has ground it into the ground, so to speak, under his heel.
Yeah.
Let that shit die, man. Let it die.
Well, I'd like to see some other filmmaker come on. I would like to see a Blomkamp come along and make his version of the universe. So will Fox under Disney still allow that stuff to happen? What about the Deadpool series? Like Deadpool 2's safe. It's obviously been shot and locked, but like anything else, would Disney allow a Deadpool 3 that's R-rated, it involves taking a shit on the production behind it and all the rest of it?
I dare say they would, though.
I hope so, because if we're going to end up with just
now,
this PG-13 max safe level of filmmaking,
you are right.
Sucks.
When a company has an internal brand or an external brand, I guess, and they have these mission statements and values and stuff that say we are this kind of company and we'll lean towards family, that's gonna affect the content for sure.
Which that worries me.
Yeah, as a keen sort of observer of the market of arts, this is a little bit of, these things happen, but when you have such a big, huge conglomerate picking up all these different aspects of the market, you as an artist, one of the few arrows you have in your quiver as an artist is that you have many people to sell to. So if you go, okay, I made this piece of art, I'm going to go to this studio, they said no, I'm going to go to another studio, they said no, and so on and so on and so on until you finally find someone who picks it up. That whole model is really important to keep you valuable as an artist, because people can say, I don't know about this one, but this other network's about to pick it up, so we want to grab it first. So that gives the artist power. When you start to get all of these people in a row and fewer and fewer and fewer competitors, until finally there's just one competitor, like a monopoly.
Well, that's the worst case scenario. Yeah.
You not only do you have no play as an artist, you don't have art. Like if they just don't like it, no one will ever see it.
Mhm.
You only see one facet of one company's vision of what entertainment should be. So that's the thing that worries me. Not so much the art itself. I think that Fox and these guys, when the merger happens, they'll still have so many divisions that there'll be one overarching CEO or whatever, and a few other people, but it'll still just be divisional. They'll say, okay, you're the R-rated division, you're the Marvel, you're the whatever division,
Right.
you're the.
No, I know what you're yeah.
Yeah, it's literally too
I
big
think
to
it'll be
manage
okay.
from a straight up top down.
I think
thing
there'll be
like that.
some
You can't have Bob
influence,
Iger
but-
in charge of literally every division of Disney film or whatever it'll be known as or whatever,
This is a big deal. And the thing that I think that comes out of this to kind of close out this segment for me that I'm worried about the most is the indie films. Like, Nick, what you were saying is if Disney goes in there and says, we have this franchise, say there's a Predator movie coming out or an Alien movie coming out at the same time as a Star Wars, and they have an animated film, that's going to take up the whole theater. So one of the indies, the stuff that we look forward to, that make their way into the theaters once in a while, like the Disaster Artist or the A24 films, like, how are they going to make their way in there if there's so much power and control over who's getting
That's the
what's
thing
getting
that
shown?
worries me the most.
Yeah.
Like I could give two shits about anything else creatively because whether or not people agree with the models that they go for these franchise pictures like Marvel and stuff like that, obviously a lot of people are really entertained by them, so they're going to continue to do them that way. I don't really care that much about that side of it. We'll see how that all plays out. But what I worry about is
Right.
Disney just swinging its fucking dick around and basically being like, we have all the power. You're going to do what we say because otherwise you're not going to play any movie that's owned by our studio or any of its subdivisions.
And
that
we're going to
pulls
hit you in the
Star
face
Wars,
with our giant
Marvel,
Mickey Mouse dick. Bam!
Yeah, literally, they're going to giant Mickey Mouse
I just thought of a
stick.
new business model that could combat this.
We'll see how it all plays out. But I mean, obviously, there's a lot more to talk about in terms of the merger and everything. But gentlemen, we've got so much more to get to tonight. And it, of course, definitely relates to Disney because we've got to get into a full review of The Last Jedi. So why don't we run into a quick break? And when we come back, it's time to talk porgs.
We'll be right back.
This week in epic film history.
I love you guys. I think that Justin's list really likes you guys too.
Oh my god,
Like,
Justin's
a
list.
lot.
You had to come back just before the end of the podcast so you could say goodbye, didn't you?
Oh, God, get out of here. Get out of here. I can't, dude. I think that Justin's list really, really likes them, especially after he heard the really sexy Aussie voices. I can't help it, man. Aussie voices are really sexy. It's just the truth.
So there you
Way
go.
better than our-
there you go, Paul.
way better
and
than our
Wayne.
plain
so,
voices.
so now the truth finally comes out. Justin really, really thinks you're sexy. Done.
I do.
So
Well, no, the lisp does. The lisp. I mean, correct that. Edit that. The lisp does.
The lisp does.
Keep him the hell out of here, man. Seriously, he's going to walk in my door. He's going to push me out of my seat. He's going to smell like piss and rotten pussy, and I don't even know what's going to happen.
Very, very safe to say right from the onset that every single one of us absolutely thought this film was the biggest piece of shit that they've ever seen in the entire fucking year because it leaves out the most important character from A New Hope of all time. William Hootkins as Porkins is not in the climactic battle, and I'm sorry, I rated a 1 out of 10 just based on that fact. Piece of garbage.
Zero out of 10 for me.
Wow.
I told you I took a shit right on the movie theater floor after the movie was over because there was no Porkins.
I cannot
Minus 5 out of 10.
believe it.
Minus 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I let the poor 15-year-old kid come and just sweep that up, and I watched him, and I said, there was no Porkins.
Going back to that scene with Tarkin and Krennic, the reason that that's the most important scene in this film is because Krennic is asking when they'll get to display the power of the Death Star, to which Tarkin replies, when has become now. And I was like, did they just fucking reference Spaceballs in Rogue One? Like, are they gonna go get a copy of Rogue One, the video cassette, and fast forward it to see how they defeat the rebels?
Think about it. I mean, they wouldn't even have to fast forward. It's one of those jokes, not to get off on too big of a Spaceballs tangent, but I think newer generations, that joke would just be lost on because they can just go to scene selection and just skip the different scenes.
Yeah.
They didn't have that joy and luxury. That was like one of the funniest things about Spaceballs is they're sitting there watching it fast forward. The Dark Helmet, Rick, the immortal Rick Moranis.
Fast forwarding, sir!
Go past this part. In fact, never show this again.
We're at now.
When will then be now?
Go back to then. We can't. Why? We just passed it. When? Now. Just now. When will then be now?
Soon.
These Spaceballs references hitting for anybody? Dude, I hope you just kind of clip it, like splice words together so it sounds like I'm saying something really offensive. But you can tell that it's just a copy-pasted sentence where it doesn't flow at all.
Little bits.
Fuck the Mexicans.
They're raping all the Jyn Erso Star Wars.
Star Wars Rogue One was a piece of shit, fucker.
Star Wars Rogue One fucks white boys.
I like big white butts. Suck my dick. Suck my dick. Suck my dick, you fuck man. This motherfucker told me I had to eat his ass for a bag of coffee.
All right. Well, since the gentlemen from the countdown are here with us, we're going to do this roundtable style. We're going to pitch it around to everybody, and we're going to get into things that we liked, things that we disliked about the film as we go. So, being that this is a Star Wars film, I think we should start off on a positive note, and there's nobody in the world that is more positive than Wayne. So we're going to start things off. We'll do one thing each, and we'll keep going around. And if anybody agrees, we can jump in on it. We can say, yes, we loved it. I will warn everyone out front, this will be a spoiler review. There's so little way that you can really talk about this film in depth without spoiling a lot of stuff. So if you haven't seen the film and you want to save it, you're going to want to skip literally the entire rest of the show. So so we'll see you at the outro.
Thanks for joining us on the Epic Film Guys podcast.
We're going to pitch it over to Wayne first. Wayne, go ahead and tell us just one thing that you loved about The Last Jedi.
One of the cool things I liked about this is Luke Skywalker. So he has 0 lines in the last movie, and it's totally made up for here, obviously, which is good. I really liked Luke. He's a very damaged man, clearly. Okay? The weight of the galaxy is like on his shoulders, and you really feel it. He's a crusty, sarcastic old man who's occasionally a dick. But as gruff...
Occasionally?
Yeah, he's kind of dickish, yeah. But what's cool is, as gruff and grumpy as he is, he didn't cease to be Luke. He's still true to his character. He's just older now. And I was totally on board with that. I thought it was kind of cool.
I love Luke Skywalker. He's my favorite character in the entire Star Wars saga. So
yeah, he's the Luke, right?
Yeah, exactly. So after The Force awakens, I was blue balling hard to get some Luke in this film. And man, I really think in terms of performance, just talking performance, I think Hamill knocked it out of the fucking park. I really think he brought his A game. And this does really still feel like Luke to me. It's just, you're exactly right. He feels like he's older. He's a little more jaded. He's a little more world weary.
When he throws the lightsaber over his shoulder after the first thing, I was like, holy shit, what the fuck? That's not a Star Wars movie.
And that's
this
one
doesn't
thing
happen in Star Wars movies.
There's one thing to talk about too when we get into a lot of the finer points of this film. That's one moment of many where it subverts expectations, I think. I don't think really anybody probably expected him to just take the fucking lightsaber and wing it over his fucking shoulder and walk away. That to me immediately signaled this is something different. This is going to be something unexpected. Anybody else loving Hamill as Luke Skywalker?
Thinking about it now, Mark Hamill has not been a big on-screen actor in quite some time, okay? Everyone in the fandom community thinks of him as the Joker. He's been voicing the Joker for the Batman animated features, Batman the Animated Series since 1992. Think of it this way. I feel like he gave a huge performance in this film, an amazing performance. It's been so long since he's been in a big movie, and for me, at least, when I'm watching Luke on screen here, I never question if it's Luke or not. And I feel like at this point, a lot of people have giant expectations of who this character should be, including Mark Hamill himself, including thousands upon thousands, probably millions of fans. But no matter what, while I'm watching The Last Jedi, I still feel like I'm watching Luke Skywalker.
I think the performance was very good. I think Mark Hamill was really great in this role. There's a couple of scenes when he's anguished and he's caught up in between what should I do and what shouldn't I do, particularly around
Ray.
Ben Solo,
Okay.
which I think he really emoted well beyond, like, you rewind 40 years to Star Wars, and let's be fair, Mark Hamill's acting is not the strongest part of the original trilogy, but he's certainly honed his craft
But he was
the last
directed shittily.
4 decades. So I thought he was good as an actor. However, I have a slightly different take in terms of the character. This did not feel like the Luke I grew up with.
No, he's not supposed to be. He's the group now. Yes.
Wow.
I didn't like it as much as perhaps you guys, and I tend to share a little bit of Mark Hamill's reaction himself, which famously, well, at least infamously, about 6 months ago, he came out and said, there is nothing about this character I agree with, but you have given me my job as an actor, and I'm going to deliver it to you.
What? Really?
Yep. For me, it's a simple case of there's one trait here, one thing that was so not Luke, and I don't care. They try and justify it in the script, but it did not work for me.
What?
And that is his sister, his friends, everything he stood for are in trouble, and he's like, don't care.
He fucked off.
Yep. That did not ring true for me, and I had a huge problem with that.
But isn't the line that they're stowing is that he was so scared by the power of the Force, he felt that he didn't want to propagate it. Subsequently,
look, they justify it in their own way. I'm just saying, for me, did not buy it, did not like it, had a lot of trouble with it until obviously what happens toward the end of the film when he finally gets over his shit and comes to help.
Okay, can we just round this up by saying, is he so he's dead now, right?
That's a good question.
What's that?
Please, experts, tell me.
He's in the same way that that Obi-Wan
Yoda,
gave himself, or Yoda, they became one with the Force. I mean, he's quote unquote dead. Is this the last we've seen of Luke Skywalker in this trilogy? I don't think so. I think we're definitely going to get Force Ghost Luke in the next episode, especially. It'll bridge into something that's going to be difficult, unfortunately, to mention, and that's Carrie Fisher, who, passed away tragically last year. And I mean, unfortunately, she is the only real, I mean, aside from Chewie and whatever, like the smaller characters and stuff, but of the main three, the big three, at the end of this film.
Yeah.
She was the only one that was left. And of course, unfortunately, Carrie Fisher passed. So, I mean, I really think that you still have to have the big three have a presence in some way in the next film. And I really think we're going to get Force Ghost Luke even more so. I think we were going to anyway, but he will definitely still be a presence in this universe, just like Obi-Wan
100%.
was, just like Yoda was, and everything. And
the thing that I really fucking I lit up when I saw this, all right? So Snoke is in that red room, right?
Yep.
And he's with his presumably red Imperial Guards, the new upgraded Imperial Guards, or whatever they're called.
Are they Knights of the whatever?
The Wills? No, those are Jedis. With the
you know what? It was good to see
them
them fucking do something. Like the Imperial Guards, the Emperor's Guards in the original trilogy never fucking did shit. So.
They did fuck all, and their robes were too long to do anything anyway. So I know what you mean. But like the thing that I'm talking about with this scene is the fucking the fight between Rey,
fucking amazing,
Kylo and fucking Rey. Man, I shat my pants with glee because when they start the fight
last night.
Oh yeah. When they start the fight, they slow-mode up until the action started. We've never seen that in Star Wars before.
Rian Johnson here directs the shit out of those fight scenes.
He is fucking
those lightsaber
killer,
battles.
man.
Like, he just manages to find different angles, and the choreographers managed to find different ways to make it interesting and new, and it was beautiful, and it was brilliant.
The red was so beautiful. I'm like, this could make a poster. Dude.
Well, and I love the way it burned away, too, because it caught on fire at one point, and it burned away, and you get to see ash falling and everything the whole time. Atmospherically, it was beautiful.
And shit, the aesthetic was so, like, entrancing. And then the sword thing, the fight happened, and those badasses almost killed these two. It was really good, and that's an aspect of this movie that I think is really important. When there was danger, you felt like the characters were actually in danger. How many times you watch a movie and you're like, this motherfucker's never going to die. He's the lead character.
Armor.
Yeah. This wasn't like this. I was like, oh shit, she got fucked up a little. Oh, damn. It was really good. So I'm just impressed crazily at that scene.
I have to get to my favorite character in the film. And I've said this before on the Epic Film Guys podcast on a number of occasions, and you may or may not agree, so chime in if you disagree. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, but Kylo Ren is my personal favorite cinematic on-screen villain since Heath Ledger's Joker.
Whoa, that is huge.
I'm so sick of seeing villains that are so one note. They're just a brick wall. They're almighty powerful, and all they want to do is destroy the world. This character is conflicted. He's dealing with personal issues inside of himself. He doesn't know which route to go. He's a very complex and interesting character to me, and I love that. I love to see a villain like that where he's actually relatable. Obviously, the view of the character is slightly different than what we see in all these other big blockbusters, so that makes it special to me. I don't know how you guys feel about Kylo Ren or not, but for me, like I feel like Adam Driver was my favorite performance in the film, and anytime he was on screen, I couldn't wait to see what he was going to do next.
No, I actually tend to agree with you, Justin. I liked Kylo Ren a lot more in this film than I did in his emo angstiness in the Force Awakens. I think he came into his own here, and that level of complexity where he's open to more than just advancing the First Order's will, and he is a complicated antagonist who kind of really does almost sway Rey at one point in the film. Is brilliant.
That was well handled, man, because like you kind of were on board.
I agree with you as well, Wayne. I think that was one of the best parts of the film was the, who's going to sway who's going to go to which side. Like, you really felt like, and I think that Johnson did a great job of it. And I think Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver both did a great job of really selling that one of those characters could have gone the other way at any time. You really didn't know exactly how everything was going to completely shake down there.
And you almost would have thrown in with Rey if she had got you at the stage where you're like, oh, the light can never go to the dark. And then he's like, okay, I killed Snoke. I did this. My plan all along was that you and me, we rule the galaxy. And she's like, and for a second, I'm like, well, yeah, because you're probably going to lose with the rebels. Maybe you could go in with this guy. For a second, that gave me a second.
We'll burn it all down and we'll start again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he wanted someone that understood him. And I want to comment on this because I think that it's something that Luke also comments on, to go back to that. But it's indictment against the hard-coded black and white worldview of the Jedi and Sith in the prequels and in the original trilogy even, where you're completely light or you're completely dark. Think of Empire Strikes Back when Yoda's training Luke. He says, once you start down the dark path, forever will it dominate your destiny. And I think I've always said this, that Luke understands on a different level and in a different way that the world's not black and white like that. The world is gray, and the world understands that there are darker aspects to even a really good person's personality. Luke has that great moment when he's sitting there and he actually tells Rey, he's like, and they let Darth Sidious rise to power and take over the galaxy. That's how, arrogant the Jedi were especially in the prequel trilogy. And I think that's something that a lot of people miss when they're shitting all over the prequels, is that bottom line about the Jedi. And I think that is embodied in Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley. I think that's embodied in Kylo Ren and Rey, where they're not 100% this way or that way. It's just some event.
This week in epic film history.
Number 6 is Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
Number 5 is The Phantom Menace.
Yep. Okay.
Even though one of my favorite sequences from the entire film franchise is in that film, which, as I talked about last week,
Jar Jar riding the tank, the barrel of the droid tank, and swinging around.
Dick in my mouth. So number 4,
Sith.
I'm waiting for and I like.
But anyway, go on. What's your number 3?
And get this, I am the minority here. My number 3 is A New Hope.
Nice. Okay. All right.
After rewatching through, I had to really take some time to think about it. It is the film that changed it all. It's such an important film to film history. It's a classic, above and beyond Jedi for sure. But when I'm putting these films together and what makes me emotionally invested in these characters, I think that Jedi being my number 2 makes a huge difference. This has nothing to do with Ewoks or, as you said in your recent review of A New Hope that we posted on our page yesterday, the soap opera elements are really, top. The dial's turned all the way up past 10 You know, with the Han Solo, Princess Leia scenes, it's just really over the top. But even though I like those, Empire is my number one. It's cliche. I don't care. It's one of the best films ever made.
Jedi,
it's one of the best films of all
Jedi
time.
at your number 2 then.
All right, I want to kick into another thing that I really loved about this film, and it's Oscar Isaac. And I think in the first film in this trilogy, in The Force Awakens, I mean, he was really just kind of in the cockpit of an X-Wing. You get to see how great of a pilot he is, but you never really got to see the strength of his character, I felt, in that film. 100% different story in this film, where he actively takes a role in the survival of Resistance. I mean, they're being chased down by the Imperial fleet. All hope seems utterly, utterly lost. And he, more than anybody else, really feels like the one character who just has no quit in him, who has every ounce of determination.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He stages a mutiny.
Yeah, I loved Isaac. I loved his performance in this film. I love Poe Dameron. I think he's a great character, and I'm glad that he got more to do in this film. Did anybody else really, really love Poe in this film?
Yeah. I don't know. He's the fact that he's the whole Laura Dern thing and like the Leia thing, you know, like when he takes charge because he's like, I don't think they've got any kind of plan and I just got to do this, and he starts his own little splinter kind of whatever, you know, skunkworks kind of plan. That is cool because it gives you like an idea that this is the guy taking charge, that this is like there's someone that's got the rebels back. It almost makes you doubt the actual leadership.
Well, it totally does. It wants you to believe that, and I think the real point of that, his arc, is he learns through what happens on how to become a good leader.
Yeah.
So
it's not just what I think.
And I want to credit Super Movie Bro Dave with that one, who pointed that out to me. And I'm like, you're absolutely fucking right. Like, he thinks he knows it all. He's brash. He's arrogant. He thinks he has it better than the leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's shown the error of his ways by the end of the film to some extent.
But it kind of isn't.
You kind of could argue that, well, their plan was kind of flawed anyway.
Their plan was actually quite
and
shit,
maybe
and
his plan was better. But they were both fucked either way. So
that's kind of the thing about it, is like both plans were imminently fucked, and I loved that it gave you that split in the, you had the leadership, of course, you have you know, General Leia, not Princess Leia, and then you have Laura Dern as the Vice Admiral, who not to get too much into things that I didn't like about this film, but Laura Dern
we'll get there.
Wasted.
Really? You think there wasn't a very full role
but Nick,
for her?
she had purple hair.
She looked great. She looked fantastic.
She looked great, and you know what? She did great with what she was given on the page. But I mean, she just she comes out of nowhere, like just steps out of the background in one scene to take charge, and it's like, who the fuck are you? Where the fuck have you been this whole time? And why are we supposed to care about you?
There's a little of that.
Do you know? I reckon honestly that would have been better had it been Akbar. Who just what took and like, had he not died when the bridge gets blown up, and had he stepped in?
I don't know.
I think that would have been great, because you'd have been like, but we know Akbar. What is Poe doing?
No, but think about this, right? Can you imagine doing these dramatic scenes where she's fighting, or he is fighting with Poe, and Poe's like, "You're not doing it right," and he's like, "It's a trap." There would be shit, man.
I am all in.
Oh man, I don't think that
would
work.
Any more strong female characters? That's why.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
But, of course, then we get to see one of those strong female characters, one that we really are excited about with The Force Awakens. We see them again in this one. And then, you know what? They literally are the Boba Fett of the new trilogy, because you know what happens to that character? Let's just get to this character right now. We have to talk about it. I'm really interested to hear you guys' thoughts. Captain Phasma. Goddamn. When have we ever seen a character that cool looking and that badass, and it's a female character? And then you get nothing out of her. You get a cool battle scene in this movie.
And they talked it up. They said, she'll have so much more to do in the next movie. I'm like, what? Did she?
We didn't even see her fucking face. We saw her
Where
eye.
was it? I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's on the cutting room floor.
Fucking cutting room floor, I assume, because apparently, according to Rian Johnson, there's tons of deleted stuff from this film that he's hoping makes the Blu-ray. But yeah, I was shocked how little she was in this film, and again how little she did in this film. And like the whole time she was on screen, I was like, just like Justin said, yeah, she looks great, she looks super cool, but who fucking cares?
Exactly. Brienne of Tarth must be pissed about this, because
that's a great call, though. The Boba Fett of this series.
It's a really good
perfect.
That's
actually
it truly
is.
It
truly is, because they look cool. They do well. She's way more badass than Boba Fett.
Yeah, I will give you that. That is,
she does actually do more than Boba Fett.
We get an awesome, cool action scene with Finn, which, you know, kind of closes out his character arc a little bit. I mean, to be fair, we haven't gotten to Finn yet, but which we will. It was a great battle scene, but then I'm like, really? You're going to kill her already?
She could totally come back from that.
They kill a few people here. They kill a few integral characters, which they just introduced in the last film. And we're like, wait a minute. And I think this is one of the biggest complaints a lot of fans are having. So let's get to this complaint here. Were these kills justified? Are these deaths justified? Okay, so we just talked about Phasma, which was a character that visually in the marketing for both of these films, very strong. The action figures, you know, the whole Star Wars lore. And then we have Snoke, a character that has great mystery in The Force Awakens. Everyone wants to know who this character is. Everyone wants to know a backstory. And then, spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen, Kylo Ren kills him with a lightsaber.
But can I say, that scene where he you know, he finally shows his hand and that you can see the ambivalence and the uncertainty in him, where he decides which way he's going to go and he kills Snoke. That is the most invested I've been, most like, oh yeah, Star Wars,
really?
Back, baby.
This is big for Paul, everyone.
Like, that is the moment I went, okay, this film has just turned from being, I'm going to be honest, the first half hour is fine and great. The second hour is fucking tedious as fuck to me.
Reckon?
Boring as fuck. I was like falling asleep.
Wow.
I've got a lot to say about that, yeah.
Therefore, if you like, the last act sort of, which kicks off from this sort of point, it came alive. The last hour of this movie is some of the best Star Wars ever.
Oh.
But and this is the turning point.
Well, what the question is, though, I liked it too. I got excited from it as well. It wasn't a what the fuck moment for me. A lot of people are taking it the opposite way. But the question is, why was it done this way? And are characters being set up in this new trilogy just to be off with no purpose and no backstory?
No, he has
because
a purpose.
we have to think about this. Like, literally, Snoke had such a presence in The Force Awakens, and everyone's saying, who is he? Where does he come from? Is it just Rian Johnson saying, who gives a shit?
No, it's Rian Johnson saying Kylo Ren is what matters.
Exactly. That's what happened to you. He's got, like, see, for Snoke to be killed in this middle movie, no one expected that.
Great feint.
So boom, oh shit.
Once
That
again,
guy's
subverting
nailed.
expectations in the film with Snoke dying. And then to go even one step further than that, Snoke is important in Kylo Ren's character arc. Snoke himself was never important as a character. And I think a lot of the reasons that I'm seeing a lot of negative reactions to this is unchecked expectations. People went into this film expecting to hear that Snoke was really Palpatine the whole time, or Snoke was really Mace Windu the whole time, or fucking whoever else you want to put in that role. And the same thing goes... Jar Jar Binks. Exactly. The same thing goes for Rey's parents. Like, a lot of people are really pissed off that Rey's parents are nobody. Rey's parents are not a Kenobi. Rey's parents aren't a Skywalker. And I think a lot of this has to do more with fanboy expectations going into this film, expecting Rey.
I must admit, I didn't buy that, but now I do.
Guess what? I like it the way that Johnson did it. I was fully in with his view, with his vision.
I prefer
and I like it this
that way,
way.
actually. I don't want them to constantly tie everything back
into
to
the
some
old,
other character.
Because then we'll constantly be looking
it's
back
like
to
Kylo
the old.
Ren
If
says
you want to get
a couple
forward,
times in the film, let the past die.
Kill it if you have to.
This film is about passing the baton. This film is effectively, we are done with the old, we are moving forward now with the new.
This is a tall order as well. Can you imagine being the guy who's at the helm of this and saying, okay, so JJ copied the last movie.
Yeah, we can't do that again.
We can't do that again. How are you going to make this special? And he fucking nailed it, man.
What he does is he gives us a film that is, it's the most different that Star Wars has been since Empire came out after A New Hope. Because Empire was a radical shift tonally from A New Hope. It wasn't nearly the kind of fun flick that was. And I think this film is exactly the same way. It's not that this film doesn't have faults. It has quite a few of them, but it's such a changing of the guard. It's such... This is what I love about this, is that Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, and Rian Johnson, they sat down and they decided to take a risk. They decided not to play it safe. They decided not to sit down and just make another formulaic, quote-unquote, Star Wars movie and just throw it out there, shovel it out there so people can lap it up. They decided to take risks. They decided to off the big bad in the middle movie. They decided to be like, oh, Rey is nobody. But that's the whole point. Do you really think that all these fucking Jedi that lived all this time during the Republic, all this era, do you think they were all fucking Skywalkers or something? No.
Do you think they were all special? No, they were normal people. The whole point of this, you want to be able to feel like you can be a hero, you can be somebody. And the ending of this film rings so true because a young kid sweeping a fucking stable, a poor boy, a nothing, a peasant, just like Anakin Skywalker was. And I'm not going back to the prequels, but it does connect slightly in the sense that you can be a nothing. You can be absolutely nothing in the world, but you can still be a Jedi. You can still be powerful. You can still mean something. And that's where I feel like so many people, so many fans are like, they just can't accept.
This is not the film, the Star Wars film that the fans wanted, but it's the Star Wars film, to be cliched, that they needed.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
They decided to take risks. They decided to, who's Snoke? Who fucking cares who Snoke is? Who's important is Kylo Ren, in the fact that he is willing to kill his master. And, Anakin talks about it in the original trilogy and in the prequel trilogy, but never does it. He never has the balls to go through with it. Kylo Ren one-ups Vader there a little bit. Speaking of stepping out of someone's shadow, he really needed in this film to step out of Vader's shadow, and I think he does that. I think he does it really effectively.
Snoke, and one of the first scenes we see him interact with him, he just tells him to take off that silly helmet. He's making fun of him the whole time. He's putting him down.
That fucking helmet, by the way. I'm so glad they got rid of that fucking thing.
I'm so sad that it's gone.
Fuck
I loved
you.
it, but not fuck me. I loved the imagery. That's Star Wars, but again, I understand why they needed to take it off. Adam Driver carries so much of this film.
Fuck off, Justin.
But one of the things that I loved, and this is a little meme that's been getting passed around today on the internet, and I had to share it earlier. It's a little girl holding a teacup, and she says, "These movies are too different from the original Star Wars," and she's holding the prequels. Then she's holding a cup of tea looking at The Force Awakens. This movie is unoriginal and too much like the original Star Wars. And then the third caption is, she's next to The Last Jedi. This movie has both callbacks to the original Star Wars and new stuff, and I still fucking hate it. And I'm like, that's where we're going with this.
Totally.
I don't understand it, guys. I really don't, because we're all talking about it right now. And yes, there's flaws to the film. Make no mistake. I have some serious issues in some regards, but otherwise, like Paul, you just said, and like I said earlier, it's not the Star Wars film that all of us necessarily want right now, but it is the one that we need right now, because we're never going to get any farther in the future with this franchise if we just keep looking back to the Skywalkers, the Darth Vaders. We're not going to have any new movies to look forward to.
Can I just say that I loved the fuck out of this movie overall? Well, we're not done talking about it, but when the credits rolled, I was like, that was fucking great. I said it to the person next to me, and who was not a friend.
I was gonna say random stranger,
like some person. No. But I went, nah, that was good all the way. And I felt it was long. It was
fucking long.
But I didn't.
And from you to not pick on the length,
no.
Given that you are all about length,
I am all about it. Yeah, a length in my ass. Yes, no. But it's
that second act was
awful,
hard to get through. It was a chore.
Can we talk about? Wayne's just saying he loved it. Good, you got to give us a score at the end. But
yeah,
can we talk a bit about what didn't work in this movie?
The subplot.
We have
to.
Yes.
I think that you guys want to talk about the subplot with?
Yes, please.
Yeah, with Rose and Finn. Is that what you're
Rose
talking about?
And absolutely.
Okay. So I'll go out on a limb right now. Okay, all right, but I'll go out on a limb and say I liked it. I don't think it all completely worked, but Star Wars is about breeding new ground and going to different worlds and seeing different things. And a lot of fans are complaining about the casino. I did not mind the casino. It still felt like Star Wars to me.
I loved the fucking casino. I adored that scene. I loved it.
If the whole film was just everything else that we've just been talking about, Luke on the island with Rey, Ren on the ship, and the star battles, which were all beautifully done, mind you, all that stuff, that's already there. That's already Star Wars. If we didn't have that middle part with someone going on and doing an adventure, I felt like there would be a huge gaping hole. Now, I get it doesn't necessarily all work because we have this new character, Rose, that's brought into the mix. She's basically a grunt who works on the ship, and
I love Rose,
her sister is killed
I love her.
in the beginning. I love the character as well. But I mean, I get a lot of people I don't think because, well, Finn wakes up, okay. He wakes up from his injuries from The Force Awakens. He just starts walking around, and immediately he's like, I have to get off the ship. Where's Rey? Where's Rey? And then his subplot is, well, I'm going to get off the ship. Rose catches him. And then, of course, they have to do this whole thing, obviously somewhat convoluted, where they have to go back onto another, first order ship, and then they have to do that again.
So they go to that planet with the fucking, like, the space age Monaco, right? Or whatever it is, right? And it's all the
Casino
casinos.
Royale, Star Wars
Royale,
style.
right? That's the best thing about this. This is fucking James Bond in Star Wars. Word to your mother. Anyway, they go in. They looking for a guy with that brooch on, right? They see Justin Theroux.
That's him,
right? And it's like, oh, that's the guy. But then they get nailed. They go in the prison, and then it's Benicio del Toro who says, I can do it. Now, was he the guy that Maz, whatever her name is, knew all along? Or was it Justin Theroux, and this guy happened to also know code breaking, but then he turns out to be a traitor?
That's a good question.
Maz is with the Force as well.
And I think the problem is that Maz Kanata gets so little in this film. She gets literally that one scene, and that's the last you see of her, which is criminal because I love her character.
1 minute. Yeah, 1 minute.
It's really, really sad. But I also think that the whole subplot, while they're at the casino, I think that the casino itself works. I like that it's a whole other world. It's this whole other set of Star Wars we haven't seen. And I love the thematic depth of it. Like, yeah, these are the people that are selling the weapons to the good guys and the bad guys. Like, they are basically profiting off of the war, and they will always profit off of the war. Very, very poignant in the real world in terms of the military industrial complex. But
exactly,
I think the problem is that the casino doesn't work because there's nothing else fucking happening in the movie while the casino is going on. We're basically in autopilot, literally, with the space thing. Like, yep, okay, we're still running out of fuel. We're still running out of fuel.
Luke's still being a bit cunty about it all.
Yeah, exactly. No, like that whole thing was kind of in like go nowhere mode for the entire time. And, Luke and Rey's plot on the island progressed, the way it was progressing. The only thing that really, really happened during those scenes was, of course, you got Rey and Ren were conversing back and forth via the Force, which I loved. I thought that was great.
Not to cut you off, Nick, but this is something new that we haven't seen in any of the other films, and a lot of people are addressing this. So, Paul, I want your opinion on this, actually, because we've never seen Jedi or anyone that have, the power of the Force in them to do this, where they're almost like teleporting. It's a very strong part of this picture. We see Kylo Ren doing it with Rey, then later on we see Luke do it in the finale of the film. What did you think of it? Because, I mean, it is different. It's nothing we've seen these characters do ever before.
Well, there's another bit, too, which kind of adds that, which the third part I really hated. And the worst part of the entire film for me is Leia suddenly...
I agree before you even say it.
Blown out into space and somehow channeling the Force to survive the freezing cold and the lack of air and just float herself. I was like,
I've got something for that for
you.
Right
the fuck out of the movie, Paul. I agree with you 100%.
Exactly it, Nick. Exactly.
All right, look, first of all, when the shit happened and she got blown up and sucked out of the thing, I went, holy fuck, they just killed Leia, and I had the moment.
Yeah, that's fine. That part was fine.
Yeah, and then when she's like, okay, now remember, if you're trying to explain how she managed to survive outer space without a suit, the answer is the Force.
Don't care.
Okay.
She's never shown that power before. It's bullshit.
The point is, she's about to die. It woke up in her.
I think it's not even the fact that she used the Force. I think it's the fact that I think more that you want to read into it is that the Force saved her. And either way, it doesn't work for me. Either way, it's too far over the top for me, where it was just, when I'm watching it, and I'm just like, what's happening right now? Like, it's a Star Wars movie. I mean, literally everything off the fucking wall happens all the time, but even that in this was, I think, a little.
Well, how would you have handled it? This is the question.
I was vastly excited. I was like, holy shit,
have her knocked out. Have her knocked out during an explosion, and something falls on her head, and she's incapacitated. We can have the whole rest of the plot.
Yeah,
we don't need.
I wouldn't have had it happen in the first place. I would have had Ren, and that's the great thing about that scene. Ren has a gut check moment. He knows his mother's on that ship. He senses her, and he decides not to fire. I think that's where you end that scene. I don't think you need to go through the whole rigmarole, but the plot needed to take her out of the film for a while and bring in Laura Dern's character and waste her. So it decided to go with this whole fucking thing, and it doesn't need it.
The purpose of that scene was to show that, one, Kylo Ren isn't completely gone.
Yes,
he
that's
won't
fine.
kill his own mother.
Didn't, as Nick said, need to blow.
Yeah, but when the other two fighters shot the thing, you feel the loss of his. Oh Jesus, I wasn't gonna kill her, and then that happened. So
but then they cheat.
But
dumb.
if she got knocked out, It wouldn't be the same.
There's a
as if
whole
she
part
got
of the
something
film
awful.
that keeps telling everyone that the Force is in all of us. Again, it's just that thing that binds us all together. It's that thing that's in between us and that we're all connected. I get what you guys are saying. For a minute, I was like, whoa. I didn't expect it. I thought that's how they were going to kill her. And I was like, okay, if they're going to do it this way, then they're not pulling any punches. They're going to be strong with this. This is what they originally envisioned, and Johnson's going to go with it. And then she came back, and I was like, okay, well, what is she going to do now? Kind of thing. Like, it may have sat well better with me if they had stuck with their guns and let her die like that.
Agreed.
And had let Laura Dern's character take over, and then, Poe came on and did that whole dynamic, then bring her back, because when she comes back, there's only one other scene that I really love her in, and it's when she talks to Luke at the end, and she's only talking to him
what a scene
basically
that
through
was.
the Force. It was great, though.
We've been waiting for that scene for fucking 40 years, though, so...
So Luke basically force projects a hologram, which is somehow can still feel shit, can still do shit and kiss her on the head and stuff. And then he goes in there because I thought it was really cool that when he walks out in the last act, and then it's like concentrate all the fire on that man, and they blow the shit out of him, and he seems to be like obviously untouched. And I thought it was
a shoulder brush has never been a greater moment in cinema ever.
So good.
I fucking love that.
I fucking almost clapped. I almost clapped when
that is awesome. So
he was obviously a hologram.
Obviously his power is so strong that he can project a hard light image because he is fighting with Kylo.
No, he ducks all of Kylo.
Does he never? Does he never? He
connects.
What do you call it? A parry.
He is that powerful. So I understand this. I totally get this from a lot of fans' perspective. That what they wanted out of this film, they did want to see that one last lightsaber battle. They wanted to see it, Luke versus Kylo Ren. And I get it. There was that fan expectation. I think everyone kind of thought we were going to get that. I did not go into it thinking that it was going to be there, but I won't lie. At the back of my head, I was thinking, I hope this happens. I hope this turns into a great lightsaber battle. But of course it didn't. And I understand why a lot of fans are like, they felt like they were cheated.
I think what
because
we got was even better.
I agree with you, Nick. After the film ended, I won't lie to you guys. I had a tear rolling down my fucking face. That character is so important to this franchise and to this story. And what he did was so much more powerful and so much more important than just a silly lightsaber battle. And I say that. I love lightsaber battles. They're one of my favorite things about this entire series. But what he did was so much more important. And they even say the words, Ray said he died peacefully. And they say again, this is the spark we need.
No, I'll tell you what I was hoping would happen at the end there, okay? When Luke busts out and they start shooting him and it turns out he's unaffected, I'm like, oh my God. Because there's one of those Star Wars cartoons, there's one which features Mace Windu, who takes on an entire fleet of Imperial baddies. And it turns out Mace Windu is so fucking powerful. His force push is like a massive megaton explosion. Like he can actually fly through the air because he's so full, and he can all sorts of shit, right? I thought, holy shit, is Luke so powerful he can do that shit too? What if he busts a cap on the entire motherfucking, like all of them walkers, all of those dudes? What if he just blows shit up because he's got force coming out of his asshole, right? And I was like, that would have been fucking King Dick, son! But it did not happen.
Expended himself in the process and faded
that would have been fucking huge, cunt! But it's like, it didn't go that way, and maybe they're just keeping their powder dry for the finale. I don't know. But I was hoping for that. And if I'm thinking, like, fanboys were like me, and they were like something like that, and then it turns out to be that, they would probably be let down. But again, like you said, Justin, everyone has expectations and they cannot all be met. So this was still good. I still like it.
Look, I'm not saying I didn't like the film. I'm saying there were moments which really didn't work for me. But to come back to your original point, Justin, which we shouldn't get away from, it is important. The Kylo Ren, Rey discussions via the Force. I thought it was interesting. The first scene, I was a bit confused, which I guess is the entire point. Like, you're like, what's going on here? And then the more it happened in the film, the more I believed it. I think their coloring, so to speak, of each other, their influence on each other was really well done in terms of Rian Johnson's script. I bought when she decided, I'm going there, and she basically fought Luke to get away to do that, and he was trying to stop her. All of that resonated well with me.
Yeah.
I think they looked at each other in a very, very black and white sensibility, kind of like I was saying earlier, and they come to realize that there's more to the person. There's more to the person underneath. And I think what I would do in this film, the one thing I was thinking about is Benicio del Toro's character, who I love. I love Benicio del Toro in this film. I think he's fucking great.
I liked him too.
Some much needed comedic relief. But I think I think what you do with him is you just put him on that rebel ship, and he, finds out that they need a code breaker, and then you really, really could have trimmed that whole subplot down to something much more brisk, and not have the
he's
endless
on the ship
sojourn.
already. Yep.
Exactly. And I love John Boyega. I love Finn. I love that character. I really, really think that character came into his own in this film. I really think he's still kind of searching for who he is, his purpose, because he's not a stormtrooper anymore. That's all he's known.
We know
his
purpose, man. He's cunt struck by Rey.
Well, then they throw that into a little bit of confusion at the end.
No, hang on a sec.
Because Rose kisses him, and then he's like, he's all tender about
that's
her.
What Rose was for. Rose was there to go, look, this guy isn't just fucking jonesing for some raid burger. Like, he
likes the double R?
Well, I'm just saying, like...
Think about it. He's a stormtrooper. He ain't getting nothing as a stormtrooper. He's waited how long? His whole life? You ain't getting that as a stormtrooper. You think stormtroopers get laid?
Why not? Why can't stormtroopers lay other stormtroopers?
Yeah, if I was a stormtrooper, I would get...
Maybe they just take off the crotch point.
What are you talking about? Do you think they're actually that lenient to let stormtroopers go run around and get laid?
Are they slaves, essentially?
No, wait, they're going to go guard some random door that's to an empty room that no one's coming out of. But they have
what
to
do you
stand
do
there.
while you're guarding the empty door? If it happens that you like the cut of that other stormtrooper,
like man, you just fuck someone.
Up until this point, we never thought that the stormtroopers could be that smart where they would know that they could actually get laid. But
are you trying to tell me that stormtroopers don't have little stormtroopers running around their feet at home, waiting for daddy or mummy to come home?
Because they're no longer clones, are they? You're right. I'm sure.
Let's not talk about Jango Fett, guys. But I want to bring up a few points real quick because I know this is going to get. This discussion's going to get long. There are a few little elements that I have to bring up.
Get long.
Mine's going to get long in your mouth.
God damn!
I sucked a dick last night.
This week in epic film history.
My number 6, of course, Justin, you know how much I hate Ewoks. Jedi is my number 6 because I contend, still to this day, that Jedi is the best and worst Star Wars film, all rolled into one tight little package. The Endor battle and...
Is it really that tight, though? Is it really super tight? Or is it just, kind of tight?
We need to come up with we need to get some theme music for Justin's list, so that way when you show up, I can play you, an intro for you. How you doing, buddy?
It's gotta be like that song from Night at the Roxbury. Baby, don't hate me. No more.
So are you looking forward to seeing? Are you looking forward to seeing The Force Awakens too?
I'm really excited at the part when Adam Driver's gonna take his mask off because I really like how tall and masculine he looks.
Oh, very nice. I learned that Adam Driver is a former United States Marine. I didn't know that.
He is, and he's really.
Do you like those buff military bods, Justin's Lisp?
I like the really scrawny, almost anorexic looking bodies.
Oh.
Get the fucking get out of here! Ugh.
I need to get some fight sound effects to throw in. My number 5 is The Phantom Menace. My number 4 is Clones. My number 3 is A New Hope. And my number 2 is Revenge of the Sith, even though I will openly admit that the first third of that film is the worst of the prequels. It is so fucking terrible. And then that leaves my number 1 film is, of course, without a doubt, The Empire Strikes Back. It's a brilliant film. It is a fucking masterpiece of film in general, not just as a Star Wars movie.
Something happened in the film that completely surprised me. I never expected it to happen. You guys may have expected it. I don't know if you felt any differently about it than I did, but dude, a fucking puppet Yoda shows up in this fucking movie, okay?
Yeah.
I did not expect it.
And I loved it. I loved it. I thought it looked brilliant. I loved it.
Really?
It showed Rian Johnson yes. What do you mean, really? Are you questioning it?
The best
was Yoda not in the Australian cut of this film?
No. The best Yoda has ever looked is in episode 2. All right, the way that they put him together in that thing, it's all CGI, I get it, but he actually looked fucking he looked fucking badass, man.
Nothing
he had fucking
ever good has come out of episode 2.
Episode 2, his fight with Dooku is the shit, son.
No.
That is the balls, man. Are you kidding me? Fuck you, man.
Hell
you don't
yeah,
know shit.
Wayne.
You don't even
I
like the
love
third
you,
one. I
Wayne.
want you to dick.
He just bounces around and does...
If they had given us Yoda in CGI form in this film, I wouldn't have given a shit. I really wouldn't have cared that much. Dude, they gave us a real puppet. They gave us a puppeteer doing a really great job with it, and it looked as close as they possibly could get to how he looked in Empire. Yep. Even the one eye that was off, the way that it moved and everything. The attention to detail was spot on. Like for me, I loved the talk that he had with Luke. I felt like, oh my god, this is what I wanted out of this movie.
That was incredibly poignant. I loved it.
Yeah, and I loved the whole fact that it was a puppet as well. Nick, there you go. You're giving me what I wanted. I'm not surprised. Everything that I thought you would think about this movie, you're giving to me, so I wasn't wrong.
I loved Yoda in this film because he was so important, really, to kind of bring things together for Luke. You know, I think that Luke had isolated himself so much and that he had disconnected himself so much from his former identity that he needed that firm hand from Yoda. It took me by surprise because I did not know that was going to happen at all.
And that's the beauty of going into a movie spoiler free.
Spoiler alert, Yoda's in this, by the way. If you're still listening to this point, I mean, whatever. What the fuck
now,
guys? I have to ask this though. This is the question of the year 2017.
Big build up.
Did you or did you not like the Porgs?
I like the Porgs. I like the Porgs very much.
I'll go next because we'll let Nick go last. The Porgs were shit.
Oh, fuck off, you cunt.
Nick, go ahead. Nick, go ahead.
He said I have to go last.
I did. That's it. That's all I have to say. The Porgs are shit. You go.
I loved the Porgs. I'll be 100% honest.
Yes!
I'll be 100% honest because I'll say it this way, Paul. I'll say it this way because I don't think they were overdone. I think they were stabbed in there just here and there, just a little bit for comedic effect.
And Chewie ate him for fuck's sake.
Like, that was great.
He didn't eat him. He couldn't do it.
Yeah, but he killed and all that shit.
Killed one, but he couldn't eat it.
But it was a moment. The point is, the sad eyes, everything. It was great.
Yeah, there was a point where they could have really done overkill on the Porgs. Like they really could have overdone it, and I don't think
the
they
Porgs
reached
plus
that.
all the other creatures on Luke's island. Too much. Too much.
Are you kidding me?
Did you not like the 4-tittied thing with the green milk?
No.
Okay, so are you going to be one of those guys, Paul, that's complaining about the green milk titty? Because it was kind of gross. It was kind of gross, but I mean, I was like, whatever. He's got to drink milk, I guess. He's got to get some kind of protein.
Ray, like, ha. You know,
that's right. I can milk a goddamn whatever
I can do
is.
this, and I'm tough as fuck because I'm drinking this.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That bit, but just the rant, the creatures who suddenly were keeping the place.
No, that's great. Because how else would you explain everything being maintained?
There's too much kidification creatures. That's my point.
The problem with the caretakers is that they only really showed up like a couple times just for comedic effect. They weren't there the entire time. And I was like, if they were there the whole time, like cleaning up after Luke and stuff like that, like why weren't they on screen the whole time? Like they should have been there the whole time. And they only really randomly appeared just to give Rey a couple of comedic scenes. Yeah, the caretakers I wasn't hot on at all, but the Porgs were fine because I just don't think they overdid them. I think they peppered them in just a little bit.
I had to ask because obviously,
because Emily posted it over in the dumpster because I think everybody expected me to hate it.
Well, that, and the fact that they have to throw something cutesy wootsy into at least every one of these films. BB-8 still withstanding it,
awesome.
Still fantastic.
BB-8's fucking great.
Love BB-8 in this film so much, so important. But I loved the Porgs. I love small animals. I love birds. I love rodents, and they kind of mixed those things together in this. And I loved that they were just like random animals that lived on the island where Luke lived. They weren't like they weren't shoved in there.
That was what I was
They're
curious
just like,
about. I was curious when I watched the trailer, like where they were.
Where are these things coming from?
How the fuck what the fuck is this thing and how did it get on the Millennium Falcon? But it made sense in the way that they introduced the creatures to the story, which like I said, I was fine with. And I loved, Wayne mentioned it before, but this scene with Chewie, he's already got one cooked. So he already killed one.
It's hilarious.
Like, I love that he's sitting there like roaring at him and like he's going to fucking eat one.
And he bats one away too. He bats one away and he's like, get out of here.
That
and
thing
then it's
looked
like
delicious. I want to eat it.
Yeah,
it did. It looked great. It looked like a little mini Cornish hen or something.
It was. That's what it looked like. But like that's to give Chewie something to do and an element to his character here. Otherwise, he's just turning up and breaking down a door. This way, it's
honestly,
like,
otherwise, Chewie'd be in the film for no reason. Because let's face it, Chewie does nothing in the fucking movie other than like pilot the Millennium Falcon once or twice.
But screen time. It's
I'm kind of woeful about that. Like I don't really feel like you got enough Chewie in this.
I mean, fair enough, but like just to go back to your about all the island creatures that are there. I think the reason that's there is to show, because what Luke has done is he's fucked off and he's retreated and he's almost like a hippie commune, back to nature kind of thing. He's off the grid, and so he's living in harmony with these creatures that are on the island to the stage where he's drinking their titty milk. So
and he's also pulling an Obi-Wan. Honestly, And that's the callback. And this is going to be like one of my final things I say about the film, because obviously that was one of the callbacks to the original Star Wars trilogy for me, is that we get Luke in almost an Obi-Wan like role, where Obi-Wan was a little bit more forthcoming and a lot more friendly. He hid himself away. He doesn't want to be bothered with it. He knows the mistakes that he's made, and he knew that he took a chance. And the fact that, spoiler alert, he did debate on killing Kylo Ren at one point, Ben Solo, because he could feel that dark side pushing through forward into him, and like that he was scared by it.
Yeah,
and I like that it added that, that amount of
for
depth.
just a moment too, because I absolutely loved that aspect of this film. The way that Luke and Ren both gave different, basically, accounts of that story.
Yeah, that is cool.
I loved that, and how that kind of played with Rey's character and really tore her in two different directions.
Do we know which is
decision? Excellent decision.
Well, you kind of get the answer in the film. I feel like because you see both versions, that Luke debated it, that Luke was conflicted by it, but like Ren's version obviously is the version where Luke walks in brutally and attempts to murder him.
Yeah, but so I love the version that I took. And like I said, I think that was a fantastic decision from a writing standpoint, because number one, it really keeps the audience kind of guessing what Luke's motives are and really guessing about Ren's allegiances. And then it also really invests you in Rey's character, because it's like Paul mentioned during the fight and everything like that. It's amazing to see how torn she is. And I think Wayne was the one that mentioned it. You can see her going either way. And you wouldn't really be unhappy with her going either way, knowing what you know at the time in the film. And
which is a huge achievement for a movie.
Exactly.
For a Star Wars movie.
For a Star Wars movie,
any movie.
Like I said, to go back and forth with especially the way Star Wars has been mostly, it's always Jedi or light, Sith or dark, white, black, light, dark. It's all black and white. And I really think that this film really opens mind frame wise up to an entirely different universe, an entirely different world, an entirely different way of thinking about the Force, about Jedi, about the dark side. And even though our respective players, relatively speaking, land on the side that we expect them to land on by the end of this, I think it was great that the film took us to the places it did to get there. I
commend Rian Johnson in every way possible.
Absolutely.
For taking the chances that he took, and the fact that Kathleen Kennedy and company and Lucasfilm actually sat down and said, you know what, let's do something different. And honestly, Nick, I know you had your issues with The Force Awakens for being a quote unquote half-assed remake of A New Hope, but you know what? I still feel like it was necessary. It set something in place perfectly for someone like Rian Johnson, an indie filmmaker, an indie science fiction filmmaker, mind you, to come in and say, you know what? Let's change things up. Now we can do something different. Because let's face it, if you had done that with The Force Awakens, more people than not would have been, they would have walked away from it.
I disagree with Justin a little bit when he says that you couldn't do this kind of thing with The Force Awakens, that they had to make the carbon copy of A New Hope first. Fuck that bullshit.
I didn't say it had to be a carbon copy. I never said it had to be a carbon copy.
Even still,
what I'm saying is something familiar.
Nonsense. It's completely because you see that in the reaction to this film. Because I think what you could do is you could also argue that you gave fanboys an expectation that you were going to get mirror images of the old films in these films. In this film's definitely not that. And you see
this.
Go
write it, and go film it, and then show me. Then I'll tell you.
You're seeing this reaction. You're seeing this hard reaction. Like a lot of people are coming out and bashing this movie, saying it's worse than fucking garbage shit ass films like Justice League.
I've been seeing. Well, number one, the audience reaction right now is lower than Justice League. And most people right now, guys, are saying this is worse than Attack of the Clones. I've seen 5 people. I've seen 5 people that I actually respect their opinions on Facebook that are like film critics or they do podcasts or whatever. And they're saying it's the worst of the series. It's worse than Attack of the Clones. I've legit seen series opinions. And again, I feel like, guys, that it goes back to those expectations. I really do. I mean,
Paul,
again,
literally, you taking a shit in the morning is better than the prequels for you.
That's true. And a shit in the afternoon and a shit in the evening.
To be fair, everyone would like that life, but
everyone's different. Everyone has their own expectations. But again, I feel like for the majority of our discussion here, we all went into this movie just blank, a little bit blank, just hoping for the best. And that's what you should do with this movie. I don't think you should go in expecting Empire Strikes Back Part 2 or, you know, like anything else. Just go into this movie neutral.
Open.
And watch a brand new Star Wars movie that was made by an auteur director who wrote this thing and put his heart and fucking soul into it. And yes, there's some decisions made that don't necessarily work. There are some subplots that aren't as exciting as maybe they would have hoped they would have been. But overall, it's still, in my opinion, one of the best Star Wars films ever made because it takes chances, it does something different, and it looks goddamn gorgeous.
And the legacy of this film is, you know, at the end of the day, regardless, Disney has given Rian Johnson the keys to the kingdom because he's going to develop an entirely new Star Wars trilogy.
A new trilogy!
Completely divorced from any characters or any locations, anything that we know about. He's going to come up with an entirely new story to set in this world. And I think having seen this film, I think he is more... I mean, I've seen other Rian Johnson films. I love him as a filmmaker. I think he's more than equipped to do that after seeing The Last Jedi. So let's get around the panel here, and let's start over with Wayne. Just any final thought you want to wrap up on the film, and then just throw your rating out of 10 right at us.
Totally. This movie absolutely spoke like my nostalgia boner at the same time as surprising me and making me excited in all the ways it needed to. As, again, not perfect, but it doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be enjoyable. This is a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10, bitches.
Yes,
Paul's shaking his head at me. Fuck you, Paul.
Yes.
This movie is exactly what Star Wars should have been now.
Now to go over to Paul's much lower rating.
The first half hour of this film was very entertaining. I greatly enjoyed it. The second hour of this film is tedious. It's boring. It has subplots that go nowhere or mean nothing, and a simple rewrite could have fixed it. The pacing stops to an absolute crawl, and I was legitimately bored. But the last hour is fucking phenomenal. It more than makes up for what comes before it, and I was taken back to being a child and watching these Star Wars films again. So overall, with all of that taken into account, it's a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, you're a cunt.
All right, well, I'm going to land right in the middle of you two. I'm actually going to go an 8 out of 10 on this. I really, really loved the parts of this that worked, but I agree with Paul 100%. I don't think they drug the score down for me quite as much, but I mean, yeah, you've got characters like Captain Phasma and Laura Dern's Vice Admiral that were totally wasted, and that middle act in this film is just a slog. Like, I will probably, when I buy this on Blu-ray, I will probably hit the fast forward button going through.
Yep.
I will go through that middle act like, okay, they're still on the ship. Okay, they're still running out of fuel. Okay, they're still on the ship. Okay, they're still running out of fuel.
I get the complaints about that.
8 out of 10 for me. I'm going to kick it over to Justin. Go ahead and throw your 9 out of 10 out of it.
I literally walked out of this film. No, who said that I gave it that? Did I post it on Facebook already?
I saw it somewhere on Facebook, responding to somebody. I can't remember who.
You son of a... You bitch. In all reality,
hey, buddy, do you want that sausage?
I did. I walked out of the film. I was one of the only people that stood up and applauded at the end of this. I went to the early 6 p.m. screening at Alamo Drafthouse.
Sound check.
And yes, Lois Sauce did come out to hype up the crowd. It was a very tough crowd, actually. Strangely enough, a bunch of people dressed up in storm, like the 501st Legion, which is the official. You have to be like important to be part of this Star Wars club. You have to have like professional costumes or whatever. They filled the Alamo Draft
Really?
House. It was awesome. Yeah, dude. The 501st Legion.
I would love to have seen that.
What the hell is wrong with you? What kind of drugs do you take?
Leave Denny alone, for God's sake.
Stop ganging up on me.
Do you think Nick just remembered that he hasn't used the soundboard much?
I think so.
I mean, Johnson, man.
Honestly, I walked out of this film. The one thing that I took away from it is that it was different. And I felt excited by it the entire time. Like anytime something happened that I wasn't expecting or that was different than what normally happened in a Star Wars movie, it gave me that spark. Like they talk about it in the film, like that spark that we need to restart this rebellion. That's what it gave me to restart my interest in Star Wars. I want to see something different and new because guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We can't rely on the Skywalker saga forever. We have to see something different. We have to see something new. And that's why I liked Rogue One, flaws and all. And Rian Johnson's doing a brand new trilogy. We have to learn that there's more to Star Wars than just Jedi and Sith. And they say that in this film. And Kylo Ren says it, let the past die. Kill it if you have to. And I go back to what I said originally, guys. I love Kylo Ren. He's my favorite on-screen villain since Heath Ledger's Joker. I liked all the characters
story,
in this.
Mark.
I know, right? I mean, I could keep going forever and ever and ever.
But I'll keep interrupting him with the soundboard.
It took all the expectations that I had for a Star Wars film, and it blew them right out the window. And I was excited by the idea that, you know what, at this point, anything can go in a Star Wars film, and that's what needs to happen if this franchise wants to continue. Hey, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you need to be different. Branch out. I loved The Last Jedi.
I agree with you 1,000% on that point right there. These franchises, and this applies to the Marvel franchise as well, and anything that's owned by Disney, is that they need to take risks. They need to step out of their comfort zone, and they need to try a few different things and stop giving us the same fucking thing. And I walked out of this fucking film, like, number one, I was elated because I didn't get Empire 2.0. That was what I was hoping from the get-go, and I was really worried that we were going to get it, and I'm so thrilled that didn't happen.
Exactly. So for me, you know, when it boils down to it, it's an 8 out of 10 for The Last Jedi.
8. Ooh,
yeah,
okay.
I would have honestly. I thought about it over the weekend, and I will be giving it a second viewing.
Oh yeah,
Nick,
this is a 2-viewing movie.
Nick, you know where I'm going to see it. You know where I'm seeing that second viewing. You already know.
The 6-story
I'm going to see it.
Laser projected IMAX theater at the Smithsonian.
I have to. Even though it'll be shitty ass 3D, because that's what they should. Disney wants to require all of their 4K screenings in those large IMAXs in 3D, but I have to see it again one more time. But it'll sit at an 8 out of 10 no matter what, because it took chances. It did its own thing with it. Luke's great in the film. Rey's great in the film. It's got a fantastic cast, great performances. And oh my God, guys, was this not one of the most visually stunning Star Wars films you've ever seen? Those sets, oh my God, it's so great. I loved it.
Beautiful.
8 out of 10 for me. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is our review of Star Wars The Last Jedi with the Countdown Movie and TV Reviews podcast.
It is always an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to have you guys on the show. We absolutely fucking love you guys. We're in a network together, the Podfix Network, which is where you can find all of us, ourselves, the Countdown. Search for the Countdown Movie and TV Reviews. They're on literally every podcatcher, including Spotify now, which I still haven't heard back from Spotify if we're on Spotify now.
They don't want us. They don't want us.
They will. If they accept us, they're taking you. Trust us on that.
I've seen some podcasts that I'm like, they're on Spotify. I'm like, and then I'm like, there's no way we're not going to get in. You guys do an amazing show. You guys do an absolutely fantastic show. I fucking love you guys. I love literally everything about both of you, including all of Wayne's beautiful
and this show. Oh, it's a privilege. It's a privilege to be back. It's an honor to talk about such a big film, arguably the biggest release of the year as we wind up 2017. We really, really thank you for having us on.
We love you too, man.
Talk in depth, because our show, we really do a much shorter version sort of review. So, it was fine. It was a lot of fun to get our Star Wars fan boy / girl on.
Totes.
All right, well, we are going to let Paul and Wayne run away. They have to record their own show, so I fucking love you guys. I love you guys. All their links are in the show notes. They're always in our fucking show notes. Just go, just find them. Just find them. If you're a listener to this show, you have to listen to their fucking show too, because they're amazing.
I feel like the Epic Film Guys would not be the Epic Film Guys without the Countdown. They're like our counterparts.
I agree.
Like we got that same thing going on with you guys. Totally.
We connect. That whole thing about the Force that connects
Australia
us all
is
together.
Still our second biggest market, and that is 100% because of you beautiful motherfuckers.
Because you guys.
Thanks, man. Thanks,
to be honest, I think that America is now our biggest market, and that is also 100% due to you guys and getting us off the ground there. Thank you so much, and thanks again for having us on.
You guys are amazing, so thank you very, very, very much for being on the show. They host on Podomatic. Just
We're
find
everywhere.
them. And I hear
all good.
A Patreon is coming soon for the Countdown, so
very soon, couple of weeks away.
A few bucks. And make sure you throw them their way, because you will not you will not be more entertained than you are by any other podcast, I promise, than the Countdown Movie and TV Review. So
way too kind.
Thank you guys for being here. You guys are the fucking titties.
You're our bestest podcasting buds, and so to you and all of your listeners,
thanks, guys.
Merry Christmas if that's what you celebrate, or Happy Holidays, and have a great New Year. And we look forward to having you guys on our show next year to continue the tradition.
So,
Your guide to cinema etiquette from the Countdown Movie and TV Reviews podcast. Tip 43.
When attending the cinema with your good friends or significant other, don't assume anyone else has any interest in what you have to say. So, always remember...
Whisper, fuckface! It's not rocket science. For more useful cinema etiquette, join Paul and Wayne on the Countdown Movie and TV Reviews podcast at Podomatic on iTunes or your favorite podcast app.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for hanging out with us here on the Epic Film Guys podcast. We
Wait,
decided
why are you getting
as
applause
of
for
late,
that? Jesus Christ.
Well,
My soundboard
because,
game is slipping, man.
I'm amazing.
No.
I'm just fantastic. But we decided here on the Epic Film Guys that we want to give back to you guys more.
Because we
want to
love
give
you.
to our listeners. Yeah, we love you so much. We're going to give back to you every episode now. Every single episode. That's
How
right.
dare
That's going to
you.
happen.
No, Paul,
not-
come on. You guys already
Paul.
left. Why is he still in here? God.
Dude, we just had a whole Star Wars The Last Jedi discussion, and Paul's
He
still in
can't
here
keep him
making
quiet.
remarks.
You can't keep him out of here.
We can't. But you know what, Nick? Since the brand new Jumanji film hits theaters on Christmas Day, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, we decided we're going to give away a very special gift to our listeners that want to participate in this little challenge. Okay, so what you have to do here is there are 12 things that come out of the board game Jumanji in the original Joe Johnston film starring Robin Williams, Kirsten Dunst. You know what film I'm talking about. It just got released on Ultra 4K HD Blu-ray. Well, that's right. I have that digital code for that 4K version for you guys. So what you have to do, if you want to win the digital code for that 4K version, that'll be all yours forever, is go onto our Facebook page, facebook.com/epicfilmguys. Ask to join the Hobster's-Dumpster. There are 12 things, as said by the game Jumanji, that come out of the game. All you have to do is name all 12 things. Now, of course, if you just overstate and say, this came out of the game, that came out of the game, and you name everything literally that came out of the game, you will still win. But there are 12 things per the game that is stated that came out. And if you state those, you're the first person in the Hobster's Dumpster. You will win the digital code for the 4K version. And I will tell you this much. I watched the 4K restoration of Jumanji, and I'm telling you, Nick, it was shot on film by Joe Johnston, and the new print looks beautiful. So you guys are getting a special treat just in time for the new Jumanji film, which, yes, I'm sure Nick and I will be seeing, we'll be talking about on the Epic Film Guys, because, hey, that's what we do. And it's actually sitting pretty well critically right now, which I'm shocked at. But hey, that's
I'm not gonna
life.
lie. I want to see it. I really want to see it.
Well, you like that chick. You and
I love
Loisos are
The
going
Rock.
to fight
I love
over.
Cara Gillian. Oh my god.
I know.
Yeah. Fuck
I mean,
you,
hey,
Loisos.
Scott-
Fuck you. I will fight you. Don't you get in here with your sound drop and shit. Get out of here.
He said he'd fight to the death. So
I sucked a dick last night.
That's what I thought.
Oh, yeah, right, Lysos. That's right. So we're going to give that away this week. So make sure, join the Hobster's Dumpster. Again, go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/epicfilmguys, and ask to join the Hobster's Dumpster. We love you guys so much. Thanks so much for listening to the show. It was such an honor to have Paul and Wayne
We
of
love
the
you guys.
Countdown
We
Movie and TV
love
Reviews podcast.
Paul and Wayne.
God.
Go find them. Seriously, they host on Podomatic. Over at, I believe it's the Countdown Movies and TV.podomatic.com, but search for them over there. They're up at the top of the ratings for movie and TV podcasts, TV entertainment, whatever the fuck it's called over on Podomatic. I have no idea. But I mean, literally, they're in our show notes every single week. As Paul mentioned, we're in their show notes every single week. These guys are our brothers. We have been with them through thick and thin, and we have grown side by side with them since we started podcasting. And it's really, really been amazing. They are so successful. They have such an amazing show now. And I love seeing the way that they've grown, and their show is it's literally wall to wall entertaining. And I love listening to their show. And it's just incredible. And I really can't say enough nice things about both of them. Paul's the one I have the most contact with, so Paul gets a little bit more of it than Wayne does, but they're just amazing. They're amazing. They're amazing guests. They're amazing friends of this show, and we love having those guys here. So thank you very, very much, gentlemen, for being here. Justin, next week on the show, that's it, man. We're saying goodbye.
I'll be up there. I'll be up there for next week's show.
Saying goodbye. Are you going to be here in studio? Are you going to be at Epic Film Guys Studios, Endicott? And are we going to record this show together?
I think so. I'll be up a week from today. I'll be up there. So we record on Monday evening, so I assume I'll be there.
I mean, I won't be home.
Oh, hi, baby face.
I won't be home most of Monday, but we'll have to try to work on the details.
I'll record at your house when you're not there.
We'll have to work on the details of that because I'll be bouncing all over the fucking place for Christmas, of course, but such is life.
We will drink booze and I will love you.
I do want to say, I just got, earlier today, I got a message, one of my favorite podcasts, besides The Countdown, of course, because I fucking love you guys, and besides the story behind, Emily, come back. We miss you. She just got pitched a fucking book deal to do the story behind Justin. Did you see that
dude,
shit?
Oh my God. That's so great and so well deserved.
Jesus
Christ.
God, she's
I'm
incredible.
reflecting on the year of 2017. This is going to be my best of list of anything as far as experiences. Is meeting Emily and having some beers and having the luxury of buying her lunch and just sitting there and talking podcasting.
So jealous. I don't know how she and I have not.
God, I love her so much.
She's amazing. She's always been there for us as well. Along with The Countdown, she has also been one of our earliest supporters. And amazing to see her getting, a book pitch for the story behind that's incredibly amazing. I really, really can't wait to hear more of her show. I guess she's starting a podcasting production company, Justin. Like, she is fucking hard into this world, which is great.
Killing it.
Absolutely amazing. And she will kill it. She will crush it because nobody out there in an indie podcast on a mic, nobody has more talent than she does, bar none. She's incredible. But one of my favorite podcasts, Justin, is the Miserable Retail Slave Show with Randy and Tommy. And I actually got invited to join their show, to be on their show this coming Tuesday, the 19th. So I'll be recording with them. I'm not sure when it's going to land. They don't really do any editing. It's pretty much mostly live. So it should be probably live within the next day or two after that. I love their show. They're a comedy podcast. They are absolutely fantastic. So please, please, please check that out. I'll drop the links for all that over on social media.
I had a great time this episode.
You're beautiful.
God, I love
all
Paul
of you.
And Wayne.
We love you.
We love
amazing.
You guys.
Paul and Wayne, you're beautiful. We love you. Next week on the show, Justin, best and worst of 2017 in film. I can't wait to count down that list. I actually finally get to, like, in my headspace.
I hope you get to see The Shape of Water before that, man. I hope you do.
Really
I pray you do.
I really hope so. Thank you very, very much for listening, ladies and gentlemen. Again, next week on the show, we've got the best and worst of 2017 coming up, and we've got spotlights coming up, Justin, over in the Overcast. If you want to jump on one of those, if you want to guest on the show,
spotlights, and don't forget, it's still
Ooh.
that time of the month. It's
Broncember.
That's fucking right.
I can't wait to roll out. I've got a couple
time.
other films that I really want to check out this month before we roll out on Broncember. Plenty of time left. It's only the 17th as of recording day, so still lots and lots of time to fit in.
Spend your holidays with your family members watching Charles Bronson blow away horrible muggers, rapists, murderers, killers.
I can't think of a better way.
There's no better way. There's no better way to
spend
enjoy
a
the
holiday,
holidays.
really,
Exactly.
than watching Charles Bronson just straight up murder motherfuckers. I can't think of a better way. But thank you all very, very much for listening.
Thank you.
For myself, for Justin, thank you all very, very much for listening, and
we will see you at the movies. Fuck off, Justin.
Dan, we just wrapped up the show. You didn't need to go to that extreme. God damn it.
So
foul.
I sucked a dick last night.
Fucking Paul.
Oh. We love you guys. Good night.
can check out more shows like it at oddfixnetwork.com.